This is the 72nd lecture in the FOA series of lectures on fiber optics. In this lecture, we're going to talk about fiber optic attenuators and how they're used to manage power in fiber optic data links. A fiber optic data link has a transmitter output, typically a laser, but sometimes an LED, that couples a light signal into an optical fiber that's transmitted through the fiber optic cable plant. And at the far end, there's a receiver with a photoelectric detector that converts the signal back to an electrical signal. This is a diagram of actually the power in a data link. We have the transmitter and the receiver and the cable plant in the middle with connectors and splices. The green line in the bottom graph is the actual power in the fiber at any point in the distance from the transmitter. So it shows the transmitter output at the first patch cord connected to the transmitter. It shows the losses of the connection into the cable plant, and then connectors and splices in the cable plant, and the attenuation of the optical fiber in the cable plant. Looks a lot like an OTDR trace, actually. At the far end, our green line, which is the power, shows you the power at the receiver at point number 2. Every data link can be described by its link power budget. The power budget is the difference between the output power of the transmitter and the sensitivity or minimum required input at the receiver. When we're designing a fiber optic cable plant and trying to determine if a particular communication system will operate on the cable plant that we're using or building, we can compare the power budget to the link loss budget. The link loss budget is the calculated estimate of the amount of loss in the cable plant, which comes from the attenuation of the optical fiber and the loss in connectors and splices. The difference between the power budget of the data link and the link loss budget of the cable plant is the operating margin of the system. And we always want that to be a positive number so that we know the communication system will work. But there's another data link specification that we have to pay attention to. That's the receiver operating range. We establish the power budget using the receiver sensitivity, which is the minimum amount of optical power that the receiver needs in order to operate properly. But likewise, there is a maximum amount of power that the receiver can handle before it overloads, and that can cause problems too. The way you can look at that is with this graph, which shows the operating range of the receiver. If we have too little power, there will be a poor signal-to-noise ratio, and that will lead to high bit error rates. If we have too much power, the receiver will overload and distort the signal, and that also will lead to high bit error rates. So the yellow range shown there illustrates the minimum and maximum operating power of the data link in order to maintain an acceptable bit error rate. If the attenuation of the cable plant is low and the received optical power is higher than the maximum tolerable power by the receiver, we'll have the receiver overloaded, and that overloading can cause signal distortion and cause high bit error rates. The solution is to put an attenuator in the cable plant, and we always put the attenuator at the receiver end, And there's two reasons. One is that if the attenuator causes any kind of reflectance, it won't affect the transmitter. But more importantly, it means that we can use a power meter at the receiver to measure the optical power and determine that it's within the range of the receiver. There are various types of attenuators. Some are mating adapters, so they can go between the last connection on the cable plant and the patch cord to the receiver. Some of them plug into the input of the receiver, and some are actually in the patch cord itself. So there's at least 3 different types of attenuators that can work on a fiber optic data link. Here are examples of several types of attenuators. The one on the top are inline attenuators that plug into the jacks on patch panels or into the input port of a receiver. The blue one in the middle is an SC mating adapter attenuator, where the adapter is made to install a certain amount of attenuation when you plug 2 regular patch cords together. On the lower left is a serpentine, which actually builds attenuation by putting stress into the cable of a patch cord. And on the right are adjustable attenuators using a gap loss that are used for multimode systems. So any or all of these types may be appropriate for the link that you need to use them with. Sometimes when you're in the field and don't have the proper attenuator, you should remember this trick. You can make your own. Just take a regular single mode patch cord and wrap it around a small mandrel, about 6 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch. Here we used a common pencil. It only works with non-bend insensitive fiber, and it can be used in the field until a proper fixed attenuator can be substituted. Here we'll show you how it's done. We have a power meter and a source measuring at 1550 nanometers. We just take the patch cord and wrap it around the pencil and watch the fiber optic power meter. As you can see that we eventually end up with 16 dB of attenuation. Generally, when we add attenuation to a fiber optic data link, we'll test the power with a fiber optic power meter. By measuring the power after the attenuator is inserted, we can check and make sure that the attenuator reduces the optical power at the receiver to be within the receiver's operating range, preferably around the middle of it. Once the attenuator is installed and the power is checked, be sure to document the fact that the attenuator is there. It's an important part of the information stored about the fiber optic link. Suppose, for example, in the future there's a restoration of this link, and in making the restoration, additional splices or cable length are added to the attenuation of the overall cable plant. Then it may be necessary that the attenuator be removed. But in order to do that, you need to know what the value is and where it is in the system, and that should be part of the documentation. So to summarize, in a data link, the receiver power must be within its operating range. Not too much, not too little. If the power is too high, it can be reduced with an attenuator. You can use a power meter to determine how much attenuation is required, or when you're designing the network, use the transceiver specifications and the cable plant loss budget to determine if there is too much power for the attenuation of the cable plant. Choose an appropriate type of attenuator. It has to be appropriate for the fiber, single mode or multimode, the type of connector, and the dB loss that you need. The attenuator always goes at the receiver end of the link, the point at which it's least likely to have any negative effects on the transmitter, and where it's easiest to measure the power at the receiver with a power meter. Of course, remember to inspect and clean all the connections that you make as you add the attenuator in. We don't want any excess attenuation caused by dirty connectors. There's more information on the FOA guide, foa.org/guide. You can find more information on how data links work, fiber optic transceivers, and of course a whole page on using fiber optic attenuators. We're the Fiber Optic Association, the International Professional Association of Fiber Optics, and the worldwide recognized certifying body for fiber optic technicians. You can go to the FOA website, foa.org, to find out more about the FOA and to access the FOA guide, almost 1,000 pages of technical information about fiber optics. You can also go to the FOA's online learning site, fiberu.org, where we have more than 24 free online courses, self-study courses on various topics in fiber optics, from the basics to topics like this, how to use attenuators.